Okay, thank you. Ready? Call the meeting to order. Do roll call. Ty?
Here.
Hayden? Here. Ben?
Here.
Vernon? Here. Sherry?
Here.
Show 5-0. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call to the public. Public comment will be allowed at the mayor's discretion. This is exclusive of items requiring a public hearing. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. As a reminder to the public and city council members alike, the city council staff will not engage in dialogue or debate with any speaker pertaining to any of the comments made. Members of the public wishing to speak must keep their comments germane or relevant to the specific agenda item before the council. Please wait to be recognized by the mayor. Remember to state your name and address for the record. If you're online and would like to participate, please type your name in the chat and wait to be recognized before unmuting and speaking. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak right now? I think so. Kathy, do we have anybody online? Okay. Moving on, the regular meeting. Let's see, do we have an update on Gene? Okay. Consent agenda, I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the consent agenda as posted. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Sherry?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 2, resolution 2023-36-A. Resolution updating the 5-year capital improvement plan CIP for the city of Basehor.
Thank you, Mayor. Leslie Riverola, City Administrator. Maddie Waldeck has stepped out for just a brief second. This item is really a companion item to the Regional Council's trail support that you approved or authorized under the consent agenda. This is the only reason we didn't add this to the consent agenda is because we didn't have it on the work session 2 weeks ago. In future meetings, if we have a companion item similar to this, we will go ahead and add that to the consent agenda as well. And if you choose to pull it off, that's absolutely your prerogative. This item is really just, again, intended to pair with the resolution of support to submit applications to Mid-America Regional Council and modifies the capital improvement plan to reflect those priority projects. So this is just more of a housekeeping item. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but really kind of 2 pieces will go along with our going after these potential grant fundings, which is obviously submitting applications, but we need to make sure that our budget documents and our capital improvement program reflects the capacity by which to support those projects. So that is what you have in front of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anybody have any questions for Leslie?
I just have a comment. I was fortunate yesterday to attend the MARC meeting, and they went into great detail along with Commissioner Smith. They went into great detail about the importance of understanding how to complete the application and again, the key things that we need to have in the application. They also later on after the meeting, they highlighted how Basehor used to get 33 points out of 100 and how by monitoring and by working forward and working with staff and understanding what needs to be in the application, they saw that Basehor was a beacon for other communities to follow. So thank you for your work in helping us get there. I told them I was a little dogmatic a little bit at times, saying we have to have this in there, you know. So and you supported that clearly. So we just need to continue to make sure that when we apply for grants, whatever it is that we're applying for, that we understand the process that they're asking for.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry?
No questions.
Ben? Good.
Just one quick comment or a couple of questions I've had asked. These are either currently already planned and funded. There's not a budget impact directed with these. These are kind of future plans and next steps so that we can look at other funding options and grants. So for anybody that's confused that we've already approved some of these items, we have not. And there's no budget considerations and no mill causes or creations throughout this.
Great point.
Hey, I need a motion for resolution 2023-36A.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution 2023-36, a resolution updating the 5-year capital improvement plan for the city of Basehor.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Ben?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 3, city administrator and staff reports. Do you know if the chief has had anything he needed to say or anything, Maddie?
I don't
I don't
believe so.
think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So you got the floor.
Just very quickly, today I believe is the last day to vote for the Scarecrow Parade. So Vincent Van Crow, our Scarecrow out there in the front. If you would feel generous enough to vote for us, it's $1 per vote. And not that I'm competitive, but I really want to win. So vote early, vote often. And then I would just like to say that I just came back from vacation and I'm just really appreciative to work for a mayor and a city council and a city administrator that encourages time away with family. So I'm very thankful. Thank you.
I just want to add that First State Bank also has jars there, you know, that you can go ahead and vote for any of all of them. And our jar is very well represented there.
Specifically Vincent Van Crow. Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Again, not that I'm competitive.
And they gave out a map where all the other ones are located. It was like, that's good.
Yes, it's been a really fun event.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor. Crystal Bose, Planning and Zoning Director. Well, I think you'll see primarily what I've been up to the last few weeks this evening during the work session, the 2018 code amendment, and then the update to our planning and zoning regulations regarding plan development and site plan processes. Other than that, just business as usual.
First of all, I want to thank you for all the hard work that the two of you put in on the codes and explaining it all to us this last week. It was long, but it was, we learned a lot too. So thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Again, like I said the other day, and I'll say it 100 times more, we couldn't have done this without GBA, without Gene, without the fellows at the fire department. It's just really been tremendous. And I appreciate your support on that.
Well, the gentleman from GBA says he actually loves that kind of stuff. So we kept him busy.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. Gabby?
Calendar reminders, next month and December, we only have one council meeting.
Thank you. Maria, do you have anything tonight? Leslie?
Thank you, Mayor. I will make this brief. I too would like to echo my sincere appreciation. I know that our representatives from Fairmount Township have had to step out. But we are really very fortunate and blessed in Basehor to have such strong partnerships with really many partner agencies. And I think that is really reflective in the work product that is in front of you tonight on these codes. It is not an insignificant effort to get a completely independent fire service and the city to come together and really, I think, put their best foot forward to reduce bureaucracy and red tape, to make development possible, but to also keep quality of development and safety at the forefront, not only for the people who occupy those spaces, but also for the citizens that will be in them. So I just think it's, and for the employees, of course, the firefighters that will need to go there in the event of an emergency. So I'm just really, really appreciative and excited that this is in front of you. It's been a lot of effort to get here, and a huge thanks to Crystal, because I think she thought I was nuts when I told her we were going to do this, and here we are. So that's very exciting. And I just want to thank you for, again, the opportunity to do the tour at the new facility today. I hope you're pleased with the progress. What an exciting space that is going to be, really, to see it taking shape and coming to life. I just can't imagine seeing natural light out of my office. That'll be, I don't know what I'll do with myself. And then finally, also just want to say thank you for your support in modifying the capital improvement plan. Thank you for your comments, Councilman Garber. It is not lost on me. One of the things that the council has said repeatedly is we're really excited about the projects we have underway, but we want to know what's next. And this isn't a one and done. It's a, how do we continue to make progress to continue to grow the city and make it a great place? And that is not possible without the dedication and support that you all offer. So a huge thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Chief, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Nothing in any substance, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, council members' reports. Hayden?
Yeah, I don't have anything other than the tour was great, and I think we'll touch on it in the next meeting, but the opportunity to dig into some of the code this week was also, or last week was also good.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Last Friday, we met with Senator Roger Marshall, which was really nice. It was, I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with him and have a roundtable. So very good discussion, and thank you to you all for today. That was really fun to go through that and see what it's all turning into. What used to just be a field is turning into something very, very inspirational. So great job. Thank you.
Jerry?
On October 8th, I went up to Lansing, and Wichita State University put on a Kansas Economic Outlook seminar, and it was really interesting. They had some really good materials that I brought back to City Hall in case any of the staff could utilize those. On October 12th, I attended the Leavenworth County Development Commission meeting. That was very interesting also. On the 19th, went to the Chamber of Commerce luncheon here in Basehor, up at the high school. It was really good to listen to how the school's growing and the students are doing. And then also I attended on October 20th, Senator Roger Marshall was here at City Hall. A lot of citizens that have commerce here in town, businesses, the school district was here. So it was a good meeting, good roundtable. And then, of course, today it was exciting to see the new City Hall and how that's coming along. And then also a thanks to Crystal, GBA, and the fire station for helping explain some of the codes to me, because there was a lot to look through. So I appreciate their extra time that they spent answering my questions and helping me. So, and I think that's all for the month of October.
Thank you. Vernon?
I was talking to this gentleman right here about the state of Basehor in the year 2000. And we were able to share some of the things that were happening. And you can see that this august group here is doing things much differently than what we saw in the year 2000. So thank you for having that conversation with me. But I was fortunate yesterday to go to the Mark meeting. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday with Doug Smith. We had an opportunity to highlight Leavenworth County. So it was my turn to kind of talk a little bit about Leavenworth City as well as Tonganoxie. Oh, I always put a plug in for Basehor. Got to do that. On November 1st, the Port Authority is going to be meeting with the county commissioners, kind of a roundtable discussion, where we're at and what we're doing and how we might move forward in the future. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be getting with the commissioners on that. Yesterday, also, I was at the Judicial Center in Leavenworth City, and I'm a member of the Adult Community Correction Advisory Board, and we are now going to have a second board. That board is the Juvenile Correctional Community Corrections. And I was just talking to them a little bit about that, and they said Basehor will be very well represented. And I'm so excited about that. I think because of my background, of where I came from. Also, Crystal, you continue to do an outstanding job when it comes to talking about the things that Basehor is doing. At our Port Authority meeting, we always have an opportunity for our partner our partner communities to talk about what we are doing. And I just want to give kudos to Crystal and John Gallion, for being supportive of what we're doing. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Moving on, mayor's report. You all have a letter in front of you that has been written out by myself and the staff on supporting the US Bicycle Route 55. Mr. Bob Vervacki, I hope I didn't tear that up too bad, did it? Pretty close, okay. If you'd like to get up and talk a little bit about it, sir.
I'm Bob Verbaki. Baser Velo is our local cycling group. I am also council alum from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, there is a proposal out there for a US Bicycle Route 55. It's part of a nationwide network of bicycle routes, including US 76 runs from West Coast to East Coast through Pittsburgh, Kansas. 55 would run from Canada down to Texas. The proposal right now, there's a 50-mile wide swath. The route wants to go somewhere within that. There was a proposal sent to Leavenworth County 6-8 months ago. It was not presented properly. It was not a good route. The bicyclists didn't even like the route. We've worked with that group and come up with a much better route. And Leavenworth County is going to review that again here in another week. We're asking for a letter of support from the city of Basehor. What we have done with this route, instead of routing it down Tonganoxie Road, which is a terrible place to ride a bicycle, we're going to come through the western edge of Leavenworth, through Lansing, down 147th Street, through the heart of Basehor, and then on south. Would very much like to see this go to Tonganoxie as well. The problem there is we have no easy way to get from Tonganoxie to 222nd Street without putting bicycles on 2440 highway. Been there, done that, not fun.
Yeah.
So right now, the route as it's laid out would continue down 158th Street. There's no financial commitment at this time from the city of Basehor. It's a way to bring tourists through our area. US 76, bicycle route 76, 100 bicycles a day. Be nice to have those tourists because they have to refuel. And we have a restaurant that does pretty good at that. Our group spent $300 there last week. So I would love to see this come through Basehor and just asking for a support from the council so we can move forward with it. City of Leavenworth, the city of Lansing, and the Leavenworth Lansing Chamber of Commerce have all given their letters. So
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Verbaki?
You're not. Appreciate the enthusiasm.
Yeah, very exciting.
and there is certainly the possibility as the trail system here is developed in the future to route that onto the trail system as well. What's drawn up right now uses a trail system in the city of Lansing for a stretch.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you for, yes.
Moving, I need to know if I have your all support about submitting this letter and sending it on through.
Yep, I support.
I support it.
Vernon?
Yes.
I'm absolutely totally good. Can we do this in a work session?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
It's
you're
not
just
an action.
offering consensus for the mayor to sign on behalf of the city, so
Yep.
that would be fine.
All right, we'll send it in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
quite welcome, sir. Thank you. Yesterday, Kathy, Stephanie, and myself hosted 3 third-grade classes to talk about the government and how the council works and everything. You guys think it's tough sitting out here? You ought to have a bunch of third graders sitting in front of you.
John McCall, I did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can come up with some pretty good questions sometimes, so. But I think the teachers were all real happy. They went from here to the fire department and back to to our police department, and they talked to them too. So it was really pretty nice. I also attended to the Roger Marshall roundtable discussion last week. It was really awesome. Every business that was here that they had been invited was very supportive of everything they did and what we're doing in Basehor. It was kind of nice to present what we have going on here in Basehor as to Senator Marshall and show them which direction we're headed. And everybody was very appreciative and great job for staff for putting that together. So that's all I have. Is there any need for an executive session? No need for
Staff is not
executive session.
requesting one.
Okay, I need a motion for adjournment of the regular meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Have a motion in a second.
Oh, a second.
I'm a second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. Moving on to the work session agenda items. Item number 1, update on 158th Street parallel roadway project.
Thank you, Mayor. Maddie Waldeck, Deputy City Administrator. Just have a quick update on the 158th Street Improvements Project, just where we are in that process. So if we could go to the next slide. Just as a reminder of the project boundaries, it's basically the same footprint as the Metro Green Trail. It starts just west of 155th and parallel, continues down to 159th Street, and then 158th Street, it connects almost to Garden Parkway, right in front of the Basehor Community Library. And the improvements essentially include extension of what we're doing at 155th Street, modernizing the roadway and adding additional walkability connections. Next slide. So this just summarizes essentially what I just went over and just promoting that walkability and promoting safety for vehicles and pedestrians alike. So when we look at the Metro Green Trail and what we're constructing, it's the 10-foot wide multi-use path, and this will improve the road and then also add a 5-foot wide sidewalk on the opposite side. So it'll be very similar to what we're seeing on 155th Street. And then when we designed the Metro Green Trail project, we contemplated this project coming online. So we're not going to put down the Metro Green Trail and then have to tear it up, a year or two later to improve the road. We already included that in the profile, so it'll work seamlessly together that way. Next slide. Just as a reminder, the funding for the project, the total project estimate is just shy of 9.5 million. We were very fortunate to be awarded a little over $5.1 million, or 54% of the total project budget from the Mid-America Regional Council. And then the city contribution will be 4.3 million. Next slide. We wanted to alert the council regarding the timeline, and these are kind of some updated or upcoming dates that we're going to hit. So very similar to what we did on 155th Street and Metro Green. We'll send certified mailing packets to all the property owners. There are significantly less property owners this project than the last one, 12 property owners to be exact, instead of 57. So it's a little bit lighter load. So we will send those certified mailings along with an invitation to the first open house. We will have 3 open houses for this project as well, very similar to what we did for 155th Street. We'll negotiate with those property owners. And then again, we'll have to come in front of council if condemnation is needed for any of those property owners. We'll make sure to present that information to you so we can make sure to hit the KDOT deadlines. Very similar to what we did again with 155th Street. So this is scheduled for advertising and bidding in December of 2024, with construction beginning in March of 2025. And again, this just serves as a brief project update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
Can you just go back to the map real quick?
Sure.
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Probably not.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. You appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before I go on, did you want to add something on the work session about the road, something about the bicycles?
No,
All right.
nope.
All right.
I had a brain fart during a little bit ago. So
Okay. Moving on to item number 2, City of Basehor Building Code update.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. The item before you is the proposed adoption of the 2018 building codes. As I think we all are aware, We currently have adopted the 2003 building codes, and we are out of statutory compliance with the state fire marshal's office. Staff began working in late summer on reviewing our current code, our current municipal code, and trying to make a determination on the best proposal to come forward. That review panel consisted of myself, Leslie, Jean, Diana, all from city staff, and then also Joe Kometz and Chad Colfit. I always say his name. Cofelt, so sorry, from GBA. They act as our building officials. And then also, as Leslie stated earlier, we had Assistant Fire Chief Raffi and Captain Rowe from the Fairmount Township Fire District.
Thank you.
During these reviews, we met, I know I've told you 100 times and you're probably tired of hearing it, but we met every single Thursday for 6 or 7 or 8 weeks. And we went through the 2018 building codes, and that includes the building code, the residential code, commercial, electric, gas, all of them. And we also reached out to our developers in the community. We specifically reached out to developers who we know operate, who develop in other communities. And we reached out to developers that we know operate only in the city of Basehor. And some of the things that we wanted to make sure we were doing is that we weren't, going to make development difficult for them. What we found out overwhelmingly through reviewing our building plans that we get on a regular basis and through these communications with our builders is that they're already building to the 2018 code, because most of them are building in Johnson County cities where that code has been adopted for quite some time. So we felt fairly comfortable with moving forward with this because we didn't feel like it was going to be, ice cold water that we were throwing on them. You can see here that there are lots of amendments. Those amendments pertain to, like I said, all of the different building code sections there. You can see. I am not qualified to talk to you about these amendments, but Joe Kometz with GBA is. I would also like to point out that the fire code amendments, Assistant Chief Raffi is here and he will be happy to answer any questions you may have about the fire code amendments. As Leslie alluded to earlier, the biggest thing that we wanted to make sure that we were doing is we were adopting a code that keeps the people who live in these buildings, work in these buildings safe, but also that our first responders would be safe in the event of an accident. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then the final item I have is some of these amendments to the fire code affected our current Article 20 municipal code. And Assistant Chief Raffi was just very gracious and offered to provide those code updates, the municipal code updates. So that is also with this. It is a lot. I know that it's a lot, and I will leave it up to you on how in depth you want to go into these. Like I said, Joe is here and will answer any technical questions that you have. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kometz.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Crystal. So, good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be in front of the elected body and city staff. Before any introduction about myself is appropriate, I think thanks are in order to be invited to be be an honorary member of your community as you are undertaking a challenge to create safe buildings that are able to be quick to market. So, brief background on myself. I've been with GBA almost 5 years in February. I am recently licensed as fire protection engineer, the most closely associated professional engineering license with building code. So a lot of folks in the code consulting world, it's typical to have fire protection engineers. I'm honored to be in their order. I lead a group at GBA called the Building Code Services Group, and so we provide this type of service in a number of different jurisdictions throughout Kansas, Missouri, on municipal and state level. So we're happy to be involved with those entities when we're asked to do so. I do love code, and I consider myself a code nerd quite often, and I don't take it as an insult. So no harm, no foul. I also echo that this is quite a mammoth undertaking to leaf through whatever it was, 45 pages of amendments only. There are a number of other updates that have happened through 5 code editions, as you might imagine. Some, I don't want to say meaningless, but not as meaningful as substantial changes such as definition changes and reordering of where the code sections belong. There are some significant ones throughout the year. We have to elaborate on those if you find them valuable. But really to a high level view of a benefit to go to a more modern building code is just that construction technology is changing almost by the day. There are a lot of things that were happening in 2003, but there are even more that are happening in 2018, which is as of this fall is now 2 code cycles behind the most current code. Other jurisdictions throughout Johnson County have been meeting fairly regularly on evaluating what codes to adopt. That is not on the table tonight. I am standing to even discuss. 2018 in my personal experience has been a very successful code, definitely throughout the metro and probably nationwide. It's one the builders know now, so there are very few surprises. There's some other state statutes that may apply and are kind of found in the body of our text here this evening, but I'd have to elaborate on that. So this may be one of those conversations that we don't even know where to begin with the, here, but I'd be happy to be a resource, help guide the conversation, whatever you all would feel appropriate. I also want to echo the Fairmount Township Fire Department and their mammoth undertaking of the fire code amendments involved in all meetings that were mentioned. A lot of these codes bleed over. It's not just the fire code is the fire department and everything else is some other code. There are fire requirements throughout the residential code. A number of different sessions and fire sprinklers within residential occupancies took up a lot of our time. So I'm really thankful for y'all and some of those. So I was thankful to be a part of a team that really was a great brain trust in trying to get this deliverable to you all today. So those are my comments and would be happy to entertain any questions. Y'all see fit.
Anybody have any questions?
Just a couple of comments, excuse me, that I think a couple of us alluded to it. There was an opportunity to sit down and go through this a little more in depth than, hour and a half conversation people probably didn't want to have at this time of night. So I really appreciate your willingness not only to go through all this work, but then to help explain and put it in a place where I can understand that a little better ahead of this meeting. Also appreciate the effort to involve so many stakeholders, right? Like you said, reaching out to developers to make sure this is not an incremental burden, or at least not a significant one, and one that they're not, completely blindsided by, to your point too. So I just appreciate a lot of the effort by staff to make this an option. I think it all looks pretty good after the meeting. I had my questions answered, so appreciate it.
Just kind of technical, when we vote on this, when will this be effective?
Yes, so. Sorry, I forget that part. We're prepared to bring this to the November 8th. I think that's our city council meeting in November. We're ready to bring this into an ordinance. If the city council feels comfortable doing that, we would really like to have this adopted and implemented by the beginning of 2024, so before that building season, but early, so they've got an opportunity to know that it's coming. And of course, we'll do lots of
That was really my question, is when are you guys want to try to implement? No other questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Sherry?
Just kind of to reiterate a little bit, I appreciate that you all took time with us. I know we were here a couple hours. And also that, we're looking at the safety of the individuals in the buildings, whether it's a home or business, the safety of the firefighters, EMT, et cetera. But also that we looked at not making it so burdensome on developers, that we want Basehor to be a place that people want to come and build. And so I think, we really spent a lot of time, and I feel like we've looked at everything pretty fairly. And like you've mentioned, there's already success with this being implemented in other areas in the metro, and they continue to be seeming to do okay. So that's all the comment I had. Thank you.
Your comment is kind of odd. We did a walkthrough of the brand new city hall. Is that based on?
This is a great question.
That building was based off of the 2003 version.
Okay, all right.
Anybody else have any questions of them or the 2 firemen back in the back row? Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure working with city staff on this. Good collaborative effort. We're happy with the result.
We appreciate you guys taking all your time. There was a lot of meetings you had to come to, so we appreciate that, but hopefully you guys feel comfortable with what we're getting ready to adopt.
Absolutely. Very good process.
Thank you. No other questions. Thank you so much. You spent a lot of time down here too.
Yeah.
So
Happy to
appreciate it. And Crystal, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3, City of Basehor zoning regulation amendments.
Mayor, I'm so sorry. Are you comfortable with us moving that forward to the next meeting, which would be November the 8th? That would be your only meeting as of now, unless you schedule a special meeting in November.
No, yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Is there
you.
any other direction you need for?
Unless you want to put it on the consent agenda.
I don't know, pretty big change, probably worth at least looking at.
Yeah, we'll put it on the regular agenda. And I mean,
wants to make comments.
we'll see if anyone comes. Thank you. Sorry, Mayor.
Moving on to item 4, on-call update.
Good evening, Mayor.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry, you're not finished with me.
Sorry.
Item 3. The zoning regulation amendment. I must say that discussion went much quicker than I anticipated it going. So, okay. So before you, we have a pretty massive zoning amendment change that was presented to the Planning Commission last night. As I think you're all aware, we currently have many planned developments in the city of Basehor. We have planned zoning districts for planned residential and planned industrial. We also have mixed use districts. And with those types of developments, a development plan is required to be presented to the Planning Commission for approval. The issue that we currently have is that the criteria are spread throughout the zoning regulations. Oftentimes there are areas where the criteria contradicts itself within the zoning regulations. Between the different zoning districts, the requirements are not the same. The timelines are not the same. And then in addition to that, our site plan review process, which is separate from the planned development process, is currently required to be publicly advertised at a public hearing opened at the Planning Commission meetings. And so what we have attempted to do is, and I think we've done it, is we are moving the requirements that we currently have for the planned development from Article 7 to Article 12. And again, very much like the code we just talked about, these changes are substantial in the text form. They're not particularly substantial in what we're actually doing. I will go through this as deeply as you want to, or I can just give you a fairly brief overview. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate at all to reach out. I provided you with 2 separate copies, though. The first copy is the markup copy, which I detailed in the staff report. It shows that we are moving current code language just from one bucket to another so that it's in the right bucket. Because like I said, it's currently spread everywhere. And it's difficult even for me sometimes to understand what the requirements are. And if it's difficult for me to understand it, it's probably difficult for developers to understand it. And then as far as the site plan goes, site plans are really, those should be presented as plans for districts that have already been zoned. So if we think about the planned development districts, that's happening oftentimes when we're rezoning a property, like I said, to the planned residential zoning district. Planned districts are able to be flexible in their design, and so they have to present a development plan for the Planning Commission to review and approve. Site plans, and I'll use the Taco Bell as an example because I think that's the best example we currently have. That lot that Taco Bell sits on is already zoned to CP2. A Taco Bell or a like use is an allowed use in that zoning district. That doesn't mean they can just go out and start building tomorrow. There's still a process that they have to go through, but they have certain vested rights with that zoning district. That mean they have the ability to develop at that, whatever that allowed right is. Currently, we have to take it to, like I said, we have to take it to the Planning Commission. Additionally, our current site plan regulations were obscure I don't think that they're terribly clear. And in some areas, they're not quite robust enough. And so we have presented a much more robust requirements for the site plan. We've also removed that requirement that it go to the planning commission. It doesn't mean that it's just the planning and zoning director who's signing off on any of these items. It means that our engineering firms are reviewing it. Our municipal services department is reviewing it. We're coordinating reviews with the fire district for safety, and we're making sure that the landscaping and the parking and the architectural design standards are all being met. But that can all be done administratively. If it can't, if they're not meeting those items, then we would say, well, you have to go to the appropriate body to get either a variance or an exception to the rules. Staff cannot grant those items. We think this is a good change. It brings us in line with one state statute. The state statute does not require site plans to be heard by the planning commission. And two, it brings us into line with more municipalities. And it really, I think, honestly, gets rid of some of the red tape that we currently have around development, especially with those changes to the planned districts. I think we've really clarified those processes. We've made sure that they are the same throughout all of the zoning districts, the planned zoning districts, excuse me. And we've laid out again, exactly what criteria is required, where previously it's just not been very clear, I don't think. Again, I will go through them line by line if you want to. But with that, oh, no, sorry, the planning commission recommended approval of this item. This would again come before you on November 8th for formal adoption. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody got any questions?
I like the streamlined approach. Appreciate that. And some of the conversation last night about making sure it's right content, right section. Let's let things move along with the professional staff that we have.
Good. Sorry. Thanks. Thank you, Kristen.
Okay.
think that is a sign of how well you presented all of
Oh,
this.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
for presenting.
Mayor, are you okay with us preparing an ordinance and bringing that back to November 8th to adopt these text amendments as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Senators. Cancel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now you can have it. Could not wait. Okay, good evening.
Maria, good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. As you all recall, the city entered into an agreement with Encode Plus earlier this year. That is a company that provides assistance to various municipalities around the country in reviewing their city codes for substance, but also updating the appearance of things, making the website portal more user-friendly. Encode is providing a variety of assistance to the city, including that substantive and appearance update to our city code, as well as, making sure that our architectural design standards, design manual and technical specifications and subdivision regulations are, up to par. They're in line with best practices and legally sufficient as well. Currently, the city uses MuniCode from Civic Plus to maintain its online city code. But we, looked for a new company to help us with these updates and really thought Encode stuck out in many ways. So if Kathy doesn't mind pulling up, this is a portal that we are working on with Encode. This has not gone live yet, but I'm able to show you kind of what it will look like once we do go live. So this would be on the page for the city code. And Kathy, if you can just kind of hover over the tabs at the top. So on view. So for example, Kathy, if you could click on Code of Ordinances. So this is what it will look like to anybody visiting the city's website. It is organized, and one of the nice things about it, it's things will be internally linked. So if you have one ordinance or section that refers to another one in our city code, instead of, having to go look for it yourself, you can just click directly on it. So it's kind of, more user-friendly in that sense. Things are, like I said, just organized, easy to find. And then Kathy, if you can go up to the search one, there's a pretty robust search function on this. You can do an easy search for something, for example, just the word nuisance, but then a more complex search. So using the words and, or not to exclude certain things if you're really trying to find something specific within the city code. So that's another new feature. Under maps, This is still kind of under construction, but we can add whatever we'd like here. If we have any interactive maps, GIS in the future, or any static maps that we think would be helpful to the public, we can add them here. And it's kind of a one-stop shop for people to access information. And the same goes for resources. We can link to anything we want here. It could be for applications, online permitting, things development related. If there's anything related to historic preservation, for example, we can list that again, one-stop shop for the public to be able to click on these links and find the forms in one place. So it's a useful jumping point for the public. So what's left to do here? The legal team for ENCODE finished its substantive review of our code very recently within the last few weeks. And so we're meeting with them next week to kind of go over their recommended changes. And we plan on bringing you all any appropriate updates or changes that staff recommends in groups rather than kind of dumping it all at once. We'll try to make it manageable, but that should probably start trickling in here in the next month or so. And we're very excited. I think this is going to be helpful to the public, to staff, to you all. And this portal right now can go live whenever we feel that it has everything it needs to have. Yeah, if you have any comments or suggestions, be happy to hear that. But otherwise, I'll keep you all updated.
Anything from Maria?
Yes, my only question would be how we're prioritizing. If you're breaking it into chunks, is there something, and maybe you haven't seen any of the results yet, but how we want to break that apart?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am meeting with that attorney who did the review next week, and that's a question that I would have for him as well. Probably, we'll talk about it as a staff to maybe get Leslie's input on what's most important. If there's something I think that is in conflict with state law, for example, or something internally inconsistent within the code that kind of seems like it should be priority, we should address that. And then there are other things that are maybe best practices or just grammatical cleanup, for example, that doesn't need to happen right away.
Or maybe frequent questions. I don't know if that's something that there's something in there that's identified as a possible change and we get a lot of questions about it, would be something I'd be interested in too.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate it. Anything else? we talk about? I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Ready in favor, say aye.
Hi.
County tied second.
Yes, I did. I heard me.
Still on your adjournment this evening.
I just have my computer up and-